All right. In a surprise move today, we're letting you all in a little bit early today.
By 31, I was the captain of a galleon. I was Poseidon's new son. The coast of Montenegro was my favorite talk.
Welcome, 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 everybody.
It was ever so fun.
Want to give you a chance to get yourself sort of oriented for your trip today. So feel free to check out the screen, and our speaker is going to be with you in just a moment. And feel free to dance.
It's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow me around. It's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow me around. There's a good life I had for free when you're out in the country. That's what I could use if I could get away there soon. It's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow me around. There's a good life had at sea. If you're not in the Navy, that's the life for you. Sail away, Raymond, sail away.
Just going to let anybody know who is joining us on a device where they can't see the chat right now that if you were going to the poll, you can skip past any registration questions. Get right into that poll. Get right in there.
And it's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow. It's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow me. It's sunshine life for me. If I could get away from this cloud over me, seems to just follow me around. And it's sunshine, and it's sunshine.
We have about a minute before we officially cast off. So, but welcome everybody so far that's jumped in. Again, the link to the poll, now that it is off screen for just a moment, we'll put it back, but it can be found in the chat window, and it will be in there frequently throughout today, so you will never lose your place. You will be able to cast off from any port, wherever we are. All right, letting some more people in because it is going to be a full house today. This is exciting. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I see familiar faces. I see some new faces. We love new friends, and welcome everybody. And we're just getting everybody on board as best we can. We'll keep letting people on. It's the magic of virtual ships. We can let them on no matter what. We can just keep bringing them in here. So I don't want to take up too much time because you did not come to see me today, or maybe you did. I don't know. That would be very nice. But most of you came to see Dr. Stacy Greathouse. So I'm going to just share a couple of quick announcements and have a really super special message. So I got to sneak that in here. So let me just tell you a quick couple of quick notes. And oh my goodness, lots of people trying to sneak in here. Look at that. Lots of people. We'll let a couple more people in, and then I can officially say, you have arrived on board the USS Friday webinar. Um, I know that was your destination. I know you did not get on the wrong ship today. And oh my gosh, here comes some more people. Yeah. So first things first, as I mentioned, and you were here to see Dr. Stacy Greathouse, and you are going to have a fantastic time with her. I've known her for a little while now, and she always has something really amazing and gets my brain going. So I'm excited to see what she's got for us today. Also, I want to remind you this is being recorded today, as are most of our sessions that we do on Fridays, and many of them you can watch at usdla.tv if you have not already subscribed to the channel. Do that. Not right this minute. You can do it after the session, but like, comment, share, click the bell, subscribe, all the things, and then you'll be able to stay up to date on all of the greatest webinar replays that we are putting over there. We do, and actually, I think she's in the house today. I think Dr. Emily's here as well. She did a webinar for us recently. Hers is one of the ones that is in the member archives, and so if you have not already considered joining USDLA as a member, now is a great time to do it for so many reasons. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And then just want to mention, I think also in the house today, I think I saw her sneak in. Um, Coming up in a couple of weeks, we're going to be coming back here and be talking about building student connections thanks to our friends over at Inscribe. So you want to come back, make sure you register for that. You want to come back and check that out as well. And then finally, if you can make it to St. Louis with us in a couple of weeks, 23rd to the 26th of June, we will be in fantastic St. Louis. Want to mention anybody who's coming to the webinar today or recent webinars, I have a very special discount code. If you haven't already registered, we want to make sure we know that some of you are having some funding issues and some different things going on in the world right now, and we want to make it possible for as many people to join us as possible. So we are offering some very special offers. So I will send that out after the webinar today. Or you can just contact me separately and say, hey, I need it right now. I need to know right now. If you have not already registered and haven't checked out the program, the full program is online on the website at usdla.org. One thing that's unique about our conference, it's largely focused on all of you networking with your peers and people from other distance learning spaces that maybe you don't interact with quite as much. Everything is included. All of the workshops are included, which is unusual, including we have a full day workshop on Thursday where you can earn your level 1 gamification certification. Not just a certificate of completion or something like that. You can really work toward an actual certification that is recognized by many of the associations around the country. So if you have more questions about the conference, I'm happy to answer them, or you can, of course, go to the website and check out more information there as well. Finally, I would be remiss. This session and others like it would not be possible without the generous support of our members and our sponsors and partners. So I'd love to just have you take a moment, look at all the amazing people that are working with us this year. Too many to actually name and go through what each one does right now. But if you see names on there of people you're working with currently, please reach out to your reps and see what's coming down the pipeline from them, or have those wonderful conversations about what you would love to see coming down the pipeline from them. Also, many of these sponsors will be with us on site at the conference, and there's some amazing conversations that happen every year where you can really sit down and learn a lot about them. If you see names on here you do not recognize, and I'll move over to our bronze and exhibitors. If you see names you do not recognize, please look them up and go check them out, because we truly have sponsors that run the gamut of pretty much everything you would need in distance learning spaces, from hardware, software, services, um, just a little bit of everything. We keep having new people join us. Some of our newest members, for example, Revolution Lightboard, they'll have some of their equipment on site at the conference, so you can really see it working live and everything. Presence, who does teletherapy for students and things like that. So there, again, lots of different options here. And we want to thank all of our sponsors, because again, without them, I would probably not be able to stand up here every week and share these amazing speakers with you, as I am about to do today. So I am now going to turn things over officially to my dear friend Stacy. And I asked her if she wanted me to introduce her, but like, there's absolutely no way that I could do justice to introducing her and capture her energy and her passion for what she works on. So Stacy, I'm going to let you take it away.
Cheerio, my deario, and ahoy, ladies, gentlemen, ladies, gentlethems, and scholars. I am Dr. Stacy Greathouse, and I would really love to thank you for your presence and your time. And thinking of your presence, I had shared a link to a poll in the chat. You can also access it. Some of the directions are up. Don't worry about it. We will come back to it, because our presence, quite honestly, isn't just about who is present. It's not just true about that. I have another question for you. As you see that we are covering the United States, which seems to, I don't know, fit our entire organization's name, because most of our people are drawn to this topic for a very specific reason. They've experienced and are possibly tired of the pain of the ubiquitous icebreaker. So I need to know more about what ails you. But I want to know about it on a scope that is larger than just introduction activities. So it's the exact same poll link. We're going to do a different poll. And taking a look at these options, quite a few. As an instructor, a facilitator, a coach, where is your pain? Take some time, read the list, see if one really sticks out to you. Yeah. Look at them go. And I'm not surprised that there's an array. I'm also not surprised that the top ones are kind of fighting for attention. So those of you who showed up and have taken on this poll, I really appreciate you, because here's what's going to happen. There are some people who like to be in pain. I will acknowledge that. Most do not. The inclination is to disengage from those pains. But the problem is that complaining is words on wind without action. And a complaint without a resolution keeps us stuck where we are, spinning our wheels. So our instructors and our facilitators and our learners and our attendees' complaints become that. They become stuck mode. So unless we try something different to get past these pain points, then there's no way out. Which I will say is why calling the activities icebreakers up until this point has been accurate to the reality, but not to the intention of the introduction activity. I just want you to think about and possibly experience the sound of ice breaking. So as I see Vanetta says, there is more than one pain point. Amen. Because when the ice breaks, usually one of three things will happen. We will freeze, we will flee, or we will fall through. Now, should you decide to flee, moving on ice, who knew, is difficult to do. Utterly, everyone gets frozen out, scrambling to save their lives, but in the case of icebreakers in a learning experience, they're trying to save their time and their attention. So, what I'm going to do and what I need to do, just to get us set up for The next one, this is looking ahead. Don't worry about answering it right now. You're going to see me do this several times. Wherever we are geographically, we experience pain. Now, the X's on this map are going to mark the spots of our complaints. We're going to turn these complaints into treasures. In the case of an icebreaker and normal introduction activities, we need resolutions. That means applying the pedagogy and the andragogy to get the change. Because our unintentional icebreakers are showing no innovation, they're indicating low expectation, they're deflating motivation, and they're perpetuating a frustration. They're keeping us stuck. So let's choose the location of the pain or our targets and use the pedagogy to find its treasure. So our route is in front of us. Using the coordinates you see here, we're going to visit these goals, where we'll explore the coordinates, the descriptions, the complaint we're addressing, the evidence-based solution, and examples. So I use Google Maps an awful lot and things. I sometimes, once upon a time, was really good at reading maps. Just so you know, when finding coordinates, the first coordinate is on the x-axis and the second coordinate is on the vertical y-axis. So the poll is open. I need you to identify the icon that is attached to the first goal, buy-in, and go to the poll for the answer. So using the coordinates, find the buy-in icon and answer through the poll. And the crowns have it. That's where we're going first. Now, something to keep in mind is that on this journey, not only am I going to ask you to help me get to the very next thing, I am going to give other kinds of prompts. And I'm going to ask, please, for somebody who is willing from certain geographies to come off their mic and contribute or to get some answers for their things. Now, you will be able to choose to be on camera or not. That's entirely up to you. Speaking of that, I'm turning off my camera because I'd like for you to be able to focus more on the content than on me moving. I'm very gesture oriented. All right, here we go. We're going to visit this crown, goal 1, where we've got to create buy-in. Buy-in starts with, so what? Coordinate 1, the activity must have a logic to the idea of a first impression that's connected to the learning experience. You're looking beyond the learning experience as it exists. This isn't academic navel-gazing. It's authentic, which is one of our favorite buzzwords. So for authenticity, we're starting with the premise that your intentional intro must mimic something that you would not be there for, that they'd be introducing themselves to someone who has absolutely no connection to your course or the learning experience, but it does have a connection to the content. Now, I'm going to give you 4 considerations for this, so a way to actually locate this. 4 considerations, which would be, what are some authentic spaces that your content lives? Geographies, whether they are digital or physical, where people would be working with your content. Example, in literature, literature is often found in libraries. That's a geography, and a lot of first impressions can happen in a library. For example, our second consideration is relevant objects. What artifacts, things do people interact with that give first impressions? If I'm interested in literature, I find myself in a library and I'm looking for a novel, people do judge books by their covers. That is a first impression. We can have a third consideration, and that's the context. How people make first impressions in space with one another. Let's change the kind of learning experience. Let's talk about a law course. And first impressions between people include jury selection. So what would be some prompting questions that we would need? And this one's set up for peer interaction really nicely because If you have ever used two truths and a lie as your introduction activity, what function did it have? Well, in this law course, jury selection, you can ask for two truths and a lie, and people can choose to lie. And that gives a good ramp in to what kind of situation we're in law. Your fourth consideration, there are first impressions that have absolutely nothing to do with words. Our outfits, the avatars, the image that I use when my camera is off. Sounds, gestures. So if you're doing a fashion course, a first impression might be uniforms. Now, those four considerations usually map very seamlessly into this coordinate because it can set you up for authenticity and assessment overall, and that's coordinate 2. The activity transparently aligns to and pre-assesses a knowledge, a behavior, skill, or value relevant to that learning experience. Because we need to nail down these complaints. Now, number one, there's not enough time to get through everything. So hit the ground running. The ramp is much shorter. This becomes content framing and instant applicability between the academic navel-gazing and the authentic. A kind of metaphorical door in and acclimation to content-specific environment. But there's a second complaint we get to here. Sometimes they don't follow directions. If you can craft the directions just right, which includes a transparent justification, and repeat the structure of the way that you give directions, it's going to set learners up for what to expect in your delivery and how to receive directions. If you keep the authenticity throughout, your solid ground won't waver. We're dealing with the pedagogies of cognitive presence in the community of inquiry. Now, there are the 3 areas of community of inquiry, but the cognitive presence is when our learners show up to do the mental work and be content framed. If you need a little more help in kind of giving a frame to once you found an authentic fit, well, there's this massive book that's called Classroom Assessment Techniques. Provides some great frameworks that you can augment. It'll tell you even how long they will take to set up, ways to look at them. Just adapt them to your goals. Now, once upon a time, I was a career counselor. And once upon a time, I was an instructor for an Introduction to Communications course. 2 very, very, very different things. But I used the same introduction activity for both. And here's how it went. As a career counselor, I did not ask for names. I did not want them to speak to me at all. The only thing they were allowed to do was approach me and give me their handshake. Now, this was nascent prior to online learning. So yes, these were in person. In career counseling, it was so easy to get the leverage into the psychology of the handshake and how in an interview, that is the first impression. And you either start above or you have to climb your way out of how your body worked. Well, in Intro to Communications, 85% of what we do is nonverbal. So that was a great kind of segue into that. So let me ask or position the in-session example. What was the logic of me asking you one of the most basic questions I could ask? Where are you from originally? Well, let's look at our organization. It's talked about the United States distance. I'm positioning us in space, showing the physical distance in a digital form, but we have a common set of pains. It was much different than asking you in that linear chat and scroll that would happen usually in webinars, because you don't get a sense of numbers and it is not a sense of distance. I'm also establishing maps as an entire metaphor, repeating it again and again. Establishing a crossing between the digital and physical because this topic applies to both. But asking that really basic question is not a universal plug-and-play fit. I was also doing a pre-assessment. I pre-assessed behavior. How many people came to listen and how many people showed up to be interactive? I'm also assessing the skill of establishing the technology. And with that, what I really want to do is invite some interaction because, let me come off camera, I'm looking for someone who is was originally from the Buckeye State. And if you're from the Buckeye State or you know college football, you know what state I'm talking about. I want somebody who might be willing to come off their microphone and work and get something out of this very first authentic fit. Put your city, if you're from the Buckeye State, put your city into chat. I'd love to know where you're from originally. Katie from Medina, are you willing, because you put your city over there, are you willing to come off your mic and work with me?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, hello. You can, if you want, come off your camera. Do not
Hi.
worry if you do not want to. So, hello, fellow Buckeye.
Hi.
I was born in Akron and I was raised in a suburb of Columbus.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. I live in Columbus.
Aha. So there are some things, maybe you're close to OSU at some point, and yeah, I'm very pleased.
Yeah, I went to college around here.
Excellent. And you said here, meaning you're probably still there.
Yeah, sorry. I live in Columbus. I went to college
you're
around
fine.
there. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing then this space with me, because I want to come up with a logical, authentic entry point for your topic. Give me one of the things that you teach or facilitate. Give me a topic that you do.
I teach English composition.
I mean, our playground just exploded.
Excellent.
Okay, so authentic space number 1, that's our consideration. Where are geographies, physical or digital locations, where your learners deal with English composition?
I mean, every geography is what I tell them, you know, at home, in their workspaces in the future, which may be classrooms, businesses. A lot of them might end up being people who spend time in libraries. Some of them might be scholars or academics, so that could be a geography.
All of it, yes. So that's why yours has exploded. So you would be able to do high context, looking at the people right in front of you and find out what their majors are. And augment your fit for perhaps their work worlds.
Yes.
So if we home in and we say that, yes, you have some business people there, okay?
Okay.
And where they must compose themselves, what are some objects that your business majors will use in their life that is a first impression that they must compose?
Like a writing artifact?
Yeah, something that they would need to build, to compose.
Oh, okay. Like, you know, a portfolio, a cover letter,
Yeah,
personal
all of those.
statements. Yeah, business memos.
Yes.
We do like
Perfect.
business letters and emails, stuff like that.
So many things to play with. Context. You've actually set up a couple of contexts because there are some relational things there that you could mimic. A cover letter. There's a relational thing that can happen where people can role play in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think if there are other examples of that, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, these are tricks you can take with you. You do not have to come up with them now. That's why we're just working through them together. You've already nailed down several. Now, the last one is interesting because I've taught English composition too. And the last consideration is nonverbals. You can do English composition with nonverbals. So what are some things that might work for you?
Maybe like rating style?
Could be.
Something like that. Or like the physical presentation of a piece of writing. Would that kind of fit as well? Okay.
Bingo. Your cover letter, you wouldn't even need text. Oops. The cover letter doesn't need text. If you even do a block out of where certain things in the genre would go, you have nonverbals.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So there are several genres like that, if you think of it that way.
Yes, and that's the point. that whole kind of twist on its head can be your way in. So you shared this digital space with me to find hopefully maybe a couple of ideas that might fit, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your help, Stacy.
My pleasure. It's what I love doing. So hopefully we can take this forward, and for those that are here, some ideas may have come off of that. And with that, I want you to know at the end of the session, if you're still here, I'm going to give you a tool that will help you work through exactly what we just did. So if you stick around, you will get that treasure. Now I'm going to come off my screen because we need to go back to the map. Our next destination is going to be goal 2, value. Please tell me the icon through the poll. Which icon is connected to value? If you came in a little late, do not worry about registering. You skip right past those registration questions and you can get to the poll. We are going to the treasure chest. That's where we're going to find some value. And I'm going to set us up for the next one. Okay, I am headed over here to this treasure chest because at coordinate 2, we need to justify a value. What the heck is this worth and why is it worth it? Coordinate 1, decide the workload. Either this is low stakes or no stakes for them. And you decide if and even when to score, because some of these don't require scores and nobody said you had to score it immediately. So to find a time on task, that's got to be a part of this calculation. How much time do they need to manage the technology? How much time do they need for interaction? As much as completing whatever objects they need to put into the space. Other parts of workload is how many course objectives are you touching, because this is a pre-assessment, and how deeply do you want this to go? Because an intentional introduction that is spread out can go pretty deep. That's how you should be evaluating all of your assessments when giving value. But in this case, we need a return on investment that comes at the point that it is used again in some capacity so that they can see their growth. They need to see the ROI. A pre-assessment means absolutely nothing without its progress marker. So those are our justifications because we need to get past and into the complaint of a grade first mindset. The stakes got to be less important than the solid ground, as it should always be. Tell them exactly how you're going to use it again and why. Then we get to a second pain point that they've been ignoring: your feedback, when you put so much effort into it. Well, when they have obvious room to grow, including if they are looking at the scores, they're going to look at the feedback and they can get formal academic feedback from you, but they're going to get social feedback as well. Both can be validated. Now, this is nothing more than us working with our assessment sciences, the authenticity, the room for mistakes, the formative, and the summative assessments. This is growth mindset at work. Now, one of the examples I will give you, I do library resources for children as one of my classes. So I have an English majors, I have librarians, and I have education majors. Now, whenever I put a class together, I justify my value visually for the entire course to show exactly how everything is locked together and scaffolded. In this case, what we started with were book jackets. And with this book jacket, it was the place where they could establish their awareness of picture books and choose their own story. And what happened is picture books would come up later. And with that, we got a sense of who we were. We put them on the shelf, and people could pull them down and read about them. Now, here it was the first thing, and it says that it was worth 5%. I did not score them immediately. But what branches off of that was known as chatter boxes. Those were utterly social items where we were dealing with the objects of the libraries, which would include picture books. Now, it was a social activity that came off, and everybody would be referring back to how people represented themselves socially. Now, in our session today, I gave you a place poll. There's no reason to score you. That's not the purpose of this entire experience, but I do refer to it again as a presence keeper, as a relationship keeper. Katie, thank you. We built a relationship. Hopefully you got a present and something you can use. I'm referring to the theme and the technology again and again too, and this is supposed to ease the use with it, which we get to do one more time. Well, actually several more times. Please tell me what the icon is for our next goal, which is rapport. And you can then find those coordinates. Again, the first coordinate will be on the x-axis, and the second coordinate is going to be from the y-axis. And the diamonds have it. Fantastic. That is where we are going to go next. Heading right on down here towards this volcano. Our goal is to establish the rapport and the tone of the learning experience, because who the heck is on this ship with me, and can I trust its seaworthiness? We got to start with our community as the first coordinate. Peer interaction is not always necessary, but if it is, it's got to be consistent with the formality of the learning experience and the purpose of the activity. Consider the environment in which you're delivering it, your content, and your audience, who's involved. If your team building learning experience is at an outdoor obstacle course, which can be off-putting already for some, be very careful about using a tone that makes people even more vulnerable instantly. Perhaps you might find an intentional introduction activity that shows how people take accountability for other people seriously. We are crafting persona here. So your expectations and the peer interaction, if necessary, have got to be sensitive to our learners' comfort with self-revelation. And we're going to build a suitable combination of the social, professional, and academic personas. And I do say combination because sometimes you only need one, but you can mix and match them. You're considering it that your attendees are giving a presenting face. So if you have an audience of persons who must keep their composure, don't give them a silly introduction activity. I have a plea for you, one of my pain points. Please do not have a group of people that includes upper management and their staff who are coming together to work with one another, and your introduction activity be to put 4 different animals in the corners of the room, including an ostrich, and asking the staff to visit the animal they think most closely aligns with that organization and the management. Because what can happen is the people that go over to the ostrich, who say almost entirely, well, we think that, ostriches put their head in the sand, except for one human being makes the statement, that is not why I'm standing here. I'm standing here because ostriches lay the biggest egg, but have the smallest bird brain in the animal kingdom. I give you 3 guesses as to who said that. Just so you know, adversarial is not the right starting place for an intentional introduction activity. So we're going to get to these complaints of dysfunctional groups. Now, group mentality in itself is problematic. So I recommend people move to crew mentality. That's an entirely different kind of session. But you're being precise about the logic of their interactions and letting them test the waters with one another in front of you. It's going to help with your crew mentality. We're working from the pedagogies of being trauma-informed, allowing people the agency and the choice for what they want to reveal, and being very careful about the levels of revelation. Working still with the community of inquiry, the social presence, our peer-to-peer interactions in this learning experience. This is a way to embrace your accessibility, especially for your neurodistinctions. And we can protect HIPAA as long as we are aware of what we are asking for them to reveal. One of the other examples, not only the ones that I just gave you, is with that library resources for children. We did revisit the picture books 3 weeks in. Now, another part of that scaffolded set is they were doing gossip panels, and crews would form to guide their peers outside of their crews through a story time. And they gossiped about the book's messages that we were tackling in class. So they pulled each other's books from the shelves, the picture books from the shelves, and they were looking for similar interests. So in conjunction with justifying the value of the introduction, it allowed students to return to and improve their intro. They chose their crews based on the evidence of the quality of their work and skills that may complement with an E one another. Somebody did something better than I did, plus a shared interest. Now, honestly, there was no reason for me to score something like that if I didn't want to. I inspired a professional academic presence, and it became a peer-driven evaluation and accountability. Now, in session I asked where you were from because of social identity theory. It was another thing I considered. If you know that someone has roots, whether from the past or now, geographically as you do, you have increased self-esteem, reduced uncertainty for being part of that group, more belonging. So we have instant camaraderie. The digital translates then into local where you are, the geographic sympathy, and a synergy when our individuals come together for a greater combined effect. Now, the first question was totally anonymous. I did not want you to self-reveal. And, excuse me, at that point. But the choice, because I am choosing from the people and their geographies, to come off your microphone and be present crosses you from a social identity among a crowd anonymously into an academic identity by choice. So when I ask for volunteers, you have the choice to step into a role and put your face forward. Who knew? Kind of like right now. So I'm going to use geography again, and I am going to ask you to go back to the poll. We'll visit that and kindly tell me where you live now. Katie, I know where you are. I see you, Vanetta. Thank you for the acknowledgement. We have moved. We have moved around, which was perfect. I want to know how else you've moved relative to what you've been experiencing. In your space, if you're someone that likes to write things down, I hope you have a pen or a pencil and you write them. If you're someone that likes to type things out, or if you're someone that just wants to grapple with this one in your head, we have visited 3 different destinations. And I'm hoping maybe there's been a pain we have addressed. So I want you to let's take, I don't know, 30 seconds. Consider, think, or write down for yourself what treasure you have now that you didn't when you started. What's something that you might have learned from our 3 treasures? And I will go quiet. If something has really hit home with you, that 30 seconds may have just flown by. Now I'm going to put my where I live on this map because I need someone from a much different place. I need a very different perspective than my own. See, I live in the desert. I live now in Mesa, Arizona, just outside of Phoenix. And here's why I need a different perspective is because we broke heat records last summer, with over 100 days in a row with well over 100 degrees. Now, apparently, last summer, the coldest place in America was New Hampshire. So up in the New England area. Now, I don't see a lot of people over in the New England area, but there is at least one. Someone who might be close to the New England area, if not New Hampshire. I'd like for your help. If you're willing to come off the mic, go ahead and tell me where you're from over in chat. Oh, we might not have anybody from the New England area. Is there someone who does, not necessarily from the desert, because I'm a hothead, want to give me another perspective and volunteer for this one? New Jersey. Lisa, are you willing to come off the mic and chat with me?
Sure.
Hello, good to meet you.
You too.
Thank you for your New Jersey perspective. Can you tell me if there's a treasure that you have right now so far?
A treasure.
Something that you've learned already from here that hopefully solves a pain or addresses a pain for you.
Well, I think the point that you made about not starting on a negative is really important.
Have you had that experience before?
With other people, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hoping that pain will help in a day-to-day thing, and that where you were before, where we started, now you have moved into a better place. I appreciate you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. No problem.
So with that treasure, my hope is that there are others across the country right now who are sharing that space with you. Because we need to go into goal number 4. And the reason that I ask this is because goal number 4, we need to locate on this map, has to do with integrity. So kindly locate the icon for integrity, hop over to that pole, and let's see where we're going. Here we go. Let's go collect some coins. I don't know. Do I have any coin collectors in here? That might be a very lost art, come to think of it. Coin collecting. So with my coins, modeling integrity and quality. I ask where you are because this is all about who we are, where we are, and how we present ourselves as facilitators, coaches, instructors, and the like, while we are creating rapport and tone. Coordinate 1, be the role model. The instructors got to model the activity with the quality expected of the learners and make it the primary means of self-introduction. A model is presence and vulnerability. It is the approachability in the trenches. It is the access to empathy, to trust, and even to competence, because the number one integrity builder is having the bravery to prove that you will not ask anything of them that you've not done or will not do alongside of them. Then you can set them up, because it's the same thing you can ask of group members and peer reviews, that they are not allowed to ask for someone to improve them if they are not willing to improve others. And when we do this is just as important. We've got to be fashionably timed. When instructors make the conscious choice about when to share their introduction. It can be before everybody does, while everybody is, or after everybody does. Now, before is the standard, but before often takes the formality and a different kind of introduction and learning experiences. But functionally, that doesn't do much for being present. Sometimes you do need to show them how it's done with your example of what it should look like. And sure, set that up first. But if you choose to go during the middle or while people are completing theirs or contributing theirs, you become a part of the conversation. It forces them to look for you. Making yourself a part of the same kind of feedback other people are getting, becoming vulnerable, even amenable to what they have to say, and improving. Withholding your introduction to afterwards. You're then privileging your participants to get to know each other. You can then offer a point of comparison, which is perfect if you need to use, well, you will be using the introduction activity again. They can push off of your model to improve. Plus, it really allows you to nail down something they may have struggled with as an in for your content. It's really high context. And after all, you've used it as pre-assessment, so your feedback simply as being a model takes a much different turn. And now all of a sudden, the complaints we're getting to is, well, they don't ask me for help. And they don't come to my office hours. They're not asking questions. Well, if we let them ask about us and interact at the same level, giving a review of our introductions to we become human and not just authority. We can own our places where we would have done better, what we would have learned, and now that's a model of growth mindset where they taught us something. So in another example here, yes, in that library resources for children course, of course I created one. At the beginning, I had an example for them, but it was not mine. I just created an example. Instead, I put myself on the shelf among them while they were doing theirs. Now, in my model, I showed a picture of me as a child where I looked a little like Alice in Wonderland. And this is because throughout that entire class, I used the metaphor and we constantly returned to the book of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, which then allowed me to push off of the fact that in high school, during Halloween, I dressed as Alice. So I was proving that I have this childlike love of what I was doing and justifying an expertise while making myself extremely vulnerable. Now, because I was in the middle, just like pulling books off a shelf, they got to choose if and when they wanted to read me. And that was how they got to know me. I didn't have any of the other kind of introduction in there. So for my in-session example, over in chat, I want you to identify when you came in, I asked you where you're from originally. When did I give my introduction? When did I match that question? Was it before you answered, while you were answering, or after you answered where you were from? The afters have it. I wanted to privilege Katie. I wanted to privilege you. You do not need right now, and you did not need a litany of my accomplishments when you came through the door. There's a description. If you go to USDLA and you're looking at the webinars, there's a blurb there. Yay! I also have a LinkedIn profile. I have a link to the LinkedIn profile. I asked Val very specifically to do an extremely short intro. And it's because I already had your attention, just as a part of this group, because there is value. You have seen value in the webinars that I have already been vetted and allowed through the door. That's all you needed to know to get started. But at this point, if you want a deeper relationship, because hopefully we have been relating in some way, look me up. Come talk to me, please. You needed more than just me as a top-down authority. You should always be testing my authority at every turn. I'm asking people to come off to see and check where I am and if anything has been imparted. If I'm not relating to you here and now, answering the same question, then it's more about me than it is about us. Now, not only did I do it during the first intro, I had a micro intro which asked you where you were. So I conscientiously used an introduction activity as a transition point, which was strategic because of the environment and the format of this experience. It was the pause point we did right before this topic. Now, the segue into the next topic, we are going to another poll. This is the last goal. And with this last goal for technology, kindly tell me which icon I need to visit. Yes, we are going to see the pearl, which, if anybody happens to enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean as much as I do, will appreciate the fact that the pearl is in the sinking ship. When we use relevant technology, we are dealing with the how sound are the tools of this trade, because our learning experience is a trade. Start with the alignment. The technology, and this is just good instructional design, fits the objective of the activity. So we go right back to creating buy-in. We had an objective, it links. Please use the technology again, more than once. It should suit the environment in which the learning experience is delivered. Make sure it's free or already paid for. Remove any access barriers that you can. No firewalls, no usernames, no account creation, if that's possible. Now, there may be learning experiences where part of the point is that you are creating their account because it is used again and again and again. This is talking about context. Also, make it as accessible as possible. When you are evaluating your technology, do as much as you can for accessibility. Now, if your first choice technology kind of foibles, give an equivalent to it, a different way to present. Now, we do all of this alignment because of the second coordinate. And most people don't know about this one. This is what I call the invisible objective. The invisible objective is the requirement that any learner masters an environment and its technology prior to showing their mastery of the content, and yet they're being scored for it at the same time. In other words, you're given assessments where for some reason, the rubric has to do with them being able to complete or put something physically or digitally together by knowing technology they were never allowed to practice. So with the invisible objective, your activity provides insight into the learner's experience with the technology first and foremost. How comfortable are they with it? Give them the guides to use it, be very precise about your directions, and make sure that it is practice without any kind of penalty. Because this is going to help with the complaints of meeting deadlines and time management. Part of the reason that meeting deadlines and time management becomes an issue is because people are suffering from unnecessary tech fatigue. They're spending too much time trying to get things to look pretty because the rubric says so, but didn't give them any time or direction on how to use it. Students' frustration with time required to use a tech, if they only need to use it once, if they never need to use it again, that will affect their deadlines. This is also issues of mental health when it comes to time management. And we are dealing with the pedagogies of the 5 learning interactions as it relates to embodiment theory. Now, some of you may have only been maybe more familiar with the older model of 3 learning interactions. Some of you may be familiar with the 4 learning interactions. I subscribe to 5 learning interactions. Knowing that the technology, the interface can undermine absolutely everything else because it undermines the body. The body is always the first and most important teacher. We acquire language, the ability to decipher sounds as language and make sense of it, last. Our bodies preceded everything else as our teacher, and it never shuts off. So if we have a lack of one-to-one correlation between the alignment of the technology and the intentional introduction, then we have undermined buy-in. There's no future use? Okay. We've undermined the value of the assignment because, well, we're affecting the time on task and its workload. We're messing with the rapport and the tone because all of a sudden we're spending way too much time paying attention to the technology instead of the people. And we definitely undermine a faith in an instructor's competence if they can't troubleshoot the technology or even use it themselves when they haven't modeled it. So one of the examples is in a business class. One of the ones, it was a marketing class that I was helping with. And one of the most obvious objects we used happened to be business cards for marketing. We decided, okay, let's use G slides because we wanted social authoring. And with G slides, the way a slide looks has got the same kind of dimensions as most business cards. I mean, there are some that also go into your portrait view, but they were allowed to build their business cards in that screen, and it became a Rolodex that we could always go back to. But we used G slides again because as a marketing class, it became their portfolio keeper. When they needed to do their logos, a slide. When they needed to do their branded color palettes, a slide. And it just made sense. I also we did the book covers for library resources for children in Google Slides. Now, the reason I did it there is because it did have a shuffle capability. We could put people in order by last name, just like people experience in physical space. We didn't use the Dewey Decimal System, but we were talking about how the physical space of a library helps children locate their books by their favorite authors. So we were able to move that around digitally. But I also used Google Slides because we were creating a communal course catalog during every single class during those chatter boxes. And we covered 64 children's and YA books in 16 weeks. It was how those who had to possibly miss a class could still engage asynchronously if they were not able to be in the class, and nobody missed a book. As one of their culminating projects, they built their own library catalogs, my education majors for their reading nooks in their classes, my librarians for children's areas, and my English majors just for areas that they had an interest in, their own collections. Now, why the heck would I use a third-party poll in a Zoom room? Number one, this isn't my Zoom room. And while I did ask Val to do some things for me, I didn't want to have her worry about setting up my polls or launching them for me. It just wasn't going to work. But Zoom polls also don't have the types of questions that I'm asking. The other reason I'm using it is because I can take this with me. Yes, I'll do other webinars. I won't necessarily use the same introduction activity, but even though the topic might be the same. But I can also do this in person if I were to go to the USDLA conference. It's going to travel with me. And I have another way to travel with you. I need to do another geography check. If you would be so kind, let's do another poll. For this one, you can go directly to the poll because I really want to know, where do you want to retire? Here we go around the world. My hope is that with your retirements, you are attacking and do not retire in pain. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And that you can take some of these treasures with you. Now, I told you how our most basic introduction activity tackled every single one of these goals. I described it as we went through, and what you're seeing here is the planner. I use this planner I teach people how to do it in a maker space. And how we fit here is that, the buy-in with our audience and the driving metaphor, the value, I didn't need to score it, the rapport that we could move from anonymous, social into an academic, the integrity that, yes, I put my introduction in there at a very specific time, the technology we have now used 9 times in 1 hour. In addition, me doing this fit the entire brand of Dark Classroom. And yes, I will go back 1 slide for you. Because Dark Classroom's Piratical Pedagogy #1 defies normal. It does not like complaining, it only likes solutions, and we live by the creed that learning happens anytime and anywhere the body is. Ultimately, the intro activities touchstone led to the conclusion of where do you want to be and who do you want to be as a facilitator when you get there. I promised you a treasure, and Val is going to share that treasure through a link. I'll also pull it up. I wanted to go back and make sure, and I will pull up this slide again, but I do want to go forward because I need to allow you to see just in bigger letters, possibly, the access to a micro-learning lesson. This tool is yours to take with you. You can do it on any device you want to. You can do it anytime you want, and it works from the pedagogy of micro-learning. It will allow you to work through our very first coordinate of our very first goal that Katie helped me with. So if you like the experience and you want all of the treasures that can help you craft, introduction activities, come to the makerspace. Feel free to sign up for that because you'll get the tools of how to rank your pain points, this micro lesson, how to do, I have an assessment tool for your intro activities. You'll get access to that planner that I used, a really succinct framework builder. And of course, we all come together in a crew of colleagues who provide feedback for the activities you walk away with. This was quite the journey, and I am so incredibly grateful that you were my crew, and I'm grateful that the USDLA allowed me to sail the seas with them. And I do wish you wonderful onward to the horizon. Val collected questions for me, and what can possibly come out of those is a lightning session to address those questions. So thank you.
You're getting lots of wows and thank yous and exclamation points. Like, I'm sorry if we, it's the exclamation point scale. That's my new, measurement of engagement and excitement at the end. Oh my gosh, people are putting like 3, 4, 5 exclamation points. I think that's equivalent to stars. That's like
the the Meryl Streep meme. Like, yeah. I love her.
And I just will quickly throw in, because you mentioned it, I will make sure that all of these things go out to you all in a follow-up email, the links to the treasure and to Stacy's contact information and to all the goodies and everything. But I did also promise you at the beginning, she mentioned, hey, you could come to the USDLA conference, and I promised that I would do that. If you are not already registered, and you want to register, I am going to include in that email a discount code. We are 38 years old at USDLA, so you're going to get 38% off because we're just crazy that way. Because we just are like, hey, let's let some more people hopefully enjoy coming to the conference. So that's our gift. That is our gift. That is our treasure to throw into the treasure chest for today. So you will all get that too. So now, how much would you pay? Now, I feel like I'm doing an infomercial all of a sudden. But anyway, yes, I will not kick people off, although we're a little bit past the top of the hour. I do want to jump in and say thank you to everybody who attended. Thank all of our future attendees who will be watching the replay of this, because we always get a lot of people who tune in a little bit later. And so I want to thank all of them as well. As I said, if you ever have any questions, comments about USDLA, feel free to reach out to me or anybody else here at USDLA. And with that, I'm not going to kick you off the lawn. I will stop the recording. So if anybody wants to hang for a few more minutes, has questions they did not want to ask on camera, totally get it. We will do that. But for now, please come back, see us at another webinar, come to the conference, do all the things. In November, remember, we have the full week of National Distance Learning Week. If any of your institutions is also planning National Distance Learning Week Friday, what is going on? If any of your institutions is planning for National Distance Learning Week, please reach out to me, because we love to put links on our website and let everybody know all the things that are going on. So that said, thank you again. I'm ending the recording, but not kicking you off my lawn. So stay tuned.